who live outside who live overseas, have a strong interest in American I do, they remain committed to our country. And I should tell you that the Caribbean Policy Research Institute did a study on the value of the Jamaican diaspora. And they have concluded, based on the research done, that the diaspora contributes roughly 34% of the GDP of Jamaica, in the form of remittances, tourism, investments and construction, and therefore we are the single largest contributor to the Jamaican economy, and as such, maybe we should ask the old Ministry of Diaspora. We know that the 34% could be increased if we're to deal with the levels of crime and violence in Jamaica. And that is what we intend to address this evening.
That's what I want to hear.
The problem of crime and violence has been a pervasive one, which has grown significantly over a decade, but more so over the past 2 decades. As we look at the harsh realities of crime and violence in Jamaica, we also need to examine measures being implemented to eradicate this blight.
Good night, Suki. Good night. I'm in a quiet zone again.
Not just for the Jamaican, but also
But this is Queen Olive in a quiet zone. At the Jamaica Outlook for Future. They're talking about violence and crime in our country.
But they are sometimes afraid to. And so we intend and we hope to.
Go share it, let everybody come over and listen.
You heard Mr. Clark and his expectations for General Anthony Anderson. I share that expectation. And tonight you will hear how he plans to address the major concerns of crime, highlight anti-crime initiatives, mention programs to ensure citizens and visitors are safe, and outline strategies to reduce corruption within the police force and to build the public trust and confidence of our police. I think we have a good man in the job, and I pledge my support, and I trust you with it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jarrett, and I am sure that by your presence this evening, you are also pledging your support because of the interest that you're showing in the topic and your presence here, that you too are also interested in ensuring that we have a resolution and we have some solutions to the challenges that face us in Jamaica. I am proud to introduce our keynote speaker, someone who we know, we not only believe, but we know is uniquely qualified to initiate dialogue on this topic. He's a Calabar High School alumni. Wow. And you know females went to Calabar. I want to. I'm a Calabar girl. Oh, yes, the commissioner and I had that little discussion. Oh, yes, I am. The commissioner, he was appointed Commissioner of Police for the Jamaica Constabulary Force in March of this year, after serving as the first Jamaica National Security Advisor for approximately 1 staff of the Jamaican Defense Force, and he had a distinguished military career from 1984. Major General Anthony Anderson has been a guest presenter and panelist at many international events, including the UN Inter-Regional Crime and Justice Research Institute, at Interpol headquarters in France, and the Organization of American States Inter-American Committee Against Terrorism. Recently, he was inducted into the International Hall of Fame of the U.S. Command and General Staff College. The holder of a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and a master's degree in defense administration from Cranfield University in the UK, he
Go and share the page. Let the people in here about our country, Jamaica.
Authority, and serves on the boards of the Jamaica Fire Brigade and Heart Trust NTA. Ladies and gentlemen, the time for which you have come, the person who you've come to hear, that time is now. May I invite you to stand as we give the High Commissioner a warm, warm welcome to Jamaica.
Please, don't know. I never wanted to do that.
Okay, and a mix up.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening.
Evelyn.
I think we've been through all the protocols before, and I know there are going to be a lot of questions at the end of my presentation, so let's leave as much time as possible. So what we're going to do this evening is have a dialogue. In the first instance, I'm going to do a small presentation covering some of the areas and some of the things we're doing to deal with crime and violence, but also some of the things we're doing nationally to deal with Jamaica on a whole and make it a secure country. And that obviously extends beyond actual crime and violence and extends into other areas of security and things that ensure that our citizens and visitors and
Anybody wanted me to ask any question, you could put the question up. So, okay, Sharon said, what about the crime thing? So when time to ask, I will ask that.
The extent of our exclusive economic zone, 200 miles to the south of Jamaica, and even beyond that. But that is our defined geographic space. Our maritime space being 25 times the size of our land space. And out there, of course, is the whole blue economy, an aspect of Jamaica which we have hardly tapped into in any serious way. But it's something that would have to be tapped into in a responsible way.
Hi, May. Hi, it's okay. Hi,
Other
Sharon.
people are actually exploiting some of these resources in the blue economy simply because we don't have awareness and control over all of our space. So there's an overarching business of security that I'm going to spend a little time speaking about and then narrow it down to the specifics of crime and violence, which is what this is about. But, you know, crime and violence, yes, but also peace and security. You know, sometimes we have to change our language to change our minds and follow a specific path. So, very quickly, this is some of our background. And, you know, we have lost over time, and there are many studies, significant amounts of our GDP and significant amounts of our growth potential because of crime, violence, and corruption.
Hello, Annie.
We've had years
Talking
of
about crime
growth,
and corruption
decades
and
of it.
the impact of Jamaican.
And of course, that kind of
background.
environment disincentivizes
You can
significant
estimate
investment.
loss of
And also has
5%
eroded
GOP
the
that
sense of
over the
confidence
past
and public
decade.
safety that
Among
is
the
required
things that this
to provide that fertile ground for people to invest and, you know, be interested in putting their money there, especially persons who are not emotionally attached to the country. So the 34% of GDP that the study said that came from the diaspora is, in one sense, a great reflection on our diaspora's interest in the country. But it is that larger portion of our GDP, then what happens to the other areas? Why are they only providing that amount of GDP? So these are some of the things that we have to contemplate and think about as we look at the cost of insecurity. Again, there's some things here that are probably no secret, but there's some key points
There's
here.
a number of
One
murder from January 1st
excel that much in
to July
something
the
that is
14th,
not
the
good.
706 versus 801.
The geographic, the
Corresponding
very
period
tight
to last
geographic
year.
areas
From
in which
January the 1st,
significant violence takes
629
means that we
versus
have a
71
part of our
previous
population
year.
that is
Gonna
constantly being
account
exposed
for
to
82
violence.
murders.
It also means that there are large parts of Jamaica where it's not experienced or not experienced in any quantity above what you'd find in any city or place around the world. We have a gun problem, that's clear from this.
Hey, easy.
And the gun problem is really a border security problem because we don't manufacture guns. So they have to come from somewhere. They all come from outside through either informal ports or formal ports. So whatever strategy we come up with has to address our borders and the security of that. Again, 82%, about 81 to 82% done with guns. The nature of guns is that it allows almost anyone to pull a trigger once they have it, and they become far more accessible, far less controlled. It used to be a situation where probably gang leaders controlled guns, they gave them out to people, they determined how and who they were used on, etc. That has changed, and that's why you're seeing so much of it. But the point of the matter is, you have to get them when they're together. You have to get them when they're on their way in, and when they're trying to get them in. So the other area, of course, which is what affects most of our population.
You know, I cannot talk to disturb the people everybody having their meetings. I'm just letting it. Everybody just listen. And everything over, I give a
whether it's traffic issues, vending issues, how we deal with public transportation and transportation centers, and of course there's the acquisitory crime. But what people are concerned with, largely what comes back is this: the sense of an abandonment by a number of a large part of our population of rule of law, which matters. The rule of law matters in all of these other things we're trying to do, whether it's economic growth, whether it's development, or whatever we wish to achieve. The other one is the corruption in the public sector, and I'm saying that broadly, and obviously the police force is a part of that, and we have our own issues with corruption that we've had for a while, and something that we have to address head on and deal with it if we're going to get better outcomes in terms of crime and violence. So this and all the matter of security, I think here's where I'm just going to some of the big picture stuff. So with this clear understanding that insecurity, crime and violence has a
These are some of the questions I wanted to ask
it
them.
really, and especially on growth, then it means that the spend on security now becomes an investment rather than an expense. Because there's a direct correlation and a return on investment that you get in this area, an economic return. There's also a growth return that you get from investing in this way. So this has led to the idea that security requires all of government responses. And anything that requires all of government responses requires ministries that are outside of national security. to come on board with the programs, the sequencing of the activities in order to get better security outcomes. And I think it has been recognized that in order to get an all-of-government approach, it has to be led centrally. So the Prime Minister in Cabinet has to lead the all-of-government approach to give us better security outcomes. And that's what led to the Office of the National Security Advisor being established and the National Security Advisor appointed. It led to the security benchmarks being placed in an IMF agreement. This is a first for the IMF and a first for Jamaica to have security benchmarks around one of these agreements. But even the IMF has appreciated the necessity for doing this and for making that association. So, from the big picture, the whole plan to secure Jamaica has crime and justice related areas. Then you're looking at how we respond in major crises, what's happening in the cyber world, how we deal with economic security, and of course our critical infrastructure. Now, this is a broad and overarching plan to create a safer country. Crime works like a drought or a famine. It saps the energy from the economy, it stops people from functioning normally, but it does it slowly. And it eats away at you for a long time. There are other threats, one being terrorism, that overnight you can recast all of your economic figures, you can start doing the maths, because everything will change. We have to prepare for that and all other things. So if we see a threat somewhere in the world happening, there's no reason to believe that at some point or one day it can't come to Jamaica. So it is incumbent on us to create a security apparatus that can meet our current problems, but also our future ones, or over the horizon ones. As a matter of fact, if we can make our own architecture robust enough, then maybe they'll divert to other places.
Good night, Audrey.
Below that, of course, that overall national response, there's the 5-pillar strategy. I think it was last year we were here. I was wearing a different hat with Minister Montague and the then Commissioner of Police talking about this strategy and how important it is to follow these in order to get changes with respect to crime and violence. Obviously, effective policing is part of it, how our justice system works, how we construct and build communities to make them resilient and resistant to crime and violence, how we use social development as a means of getting people to divert from crime. There's something I've been speaking about as I moved around, and that is the distinction between those people who are in
this society.
the business of crime and those people on the periphery of
But I'm
crime.
doing a little live.
So those people on the periphery of crime tend to respond very well to interventions other than law enforcement interventions. If opportunity increases, they go do that. If they get an opportunity, whether it's a work opportunity, an opportunity to see, do, go, they will do that. And you see it reflected for some of them who spend a lot of time in this security business, 3.5 decades really. You see it in communities, there's work or there's some other intervention, there's opportunity, in fact, crime is dropping.
Yes.
Right. Now, when you don't have the intervention, it means that you're burning law enforcement capacity to deal with the periphery of crime. That's not the best use of it. The best use of it is to go after the people in the business of crime, that it doesn't really matter what is going on, that's their business. and use other methods to deal with the periphery and get those people into other useful opportunities, useful endeavors. The other one, of course, number 5, which is to reduce reoffending, is critical. The figures I've got, roughly 3 years is our turnaround time for people in prison, average time, 3 years. Now, what that means is we have 3 years when we have these people's undivided attention. And we can do with that 3 years as we choose. We can either, because they're going to spend 3 years learning, one way or another. They either learn from other persons being incarcerated also.
Hello, Jenny. How are you
or
doing?
they'll have opportunities to learn other things, get skills, so that they only come into the system once and they move on to more productive things. Or we can take an approach that we just lock them up and spend as little and have as little interest in them as possible, and they will return as a revolving door. So we have to deal with this reoffending matter, and it's one of the pillars on it, and there's been significant work to, in the Department of Correctional Services to deal with this reoffending matter. As I had said earlier, securing our borders is a significant part of what we do in order to stop guns and ammunition from coming in the country. Guns and ammunition come in the country on networks. Networks operate like pipelines. So they can carry guns, they can carry ammunition, they can carry drugs, they can carry people, they can carry illicit goods. They're networks. That's all they are. People facilitate the movement, whether it's through formal ports or through informal ports. We have 145 informal ports in Jamaica. And as you say, our maritime space is huge. So what we've done is invest in technologies a number of them should be rolled out by the end of the year, so that we'll be able to see what comes through our maritime space. We've also invested in technologies to respond and intercept those things coming through our space. That will have a market effect on what comes through our informal ports. The formal ports are more controlled, and so there are also some technologies being looked at in that regard in terms of scanning and secondary screening and remote screening, etc. A number of technologies in doing that. So whether it's informal or formal ports, we are investing in it to get some better outcomes in that regard. We've also legislatively changed the Firearms Act to bring it in line and consistent with the problem that we're seeing. So there are offenses under the new act that should have passed that didn't exist under the old act, like distributing firearms. There was no offense like that. Even trafficking in firearms required a cross. There's no offense called trafficking in firearms in the existing legislation, which sounds strange considering we have such a large firearms problem. So if somebody's caught with 200 guns, it's 200 counts of simple possession, which is actually less than if you do one holdup with one gun. So it's really just how you recast your legislation to match your issues. Then, as it was mentioned earlier, and we have the zone of special operation legislation, and I'm not going to go that much, although there may be some questions about it, but what the zones of special operation legislation does is it ties social intervention with security operations in legislatively ties it. And I think it's pretty unique in that regard. Most legislation either deals with one or the other. I think it's a recognition that neither by themselves will work that has caused that legislation. So the zones of special operations really an incubator for this methodology, that this legislation can work, that you actually secure a community to the point where the community secures itself. That is it, that the community can now provide its own leadership and security and live normally. The use of a state of emergency in a limited geographic way is another tool that has been used. I think the figures change daily, I think it is. So if I'm out by 1 or 2, don't hold me to it, but we are at about 107 less murders in St. James than last year. That's a lot. And so,
Thanks.
we have to use these short-term measures.
I'm trying to do everything to get them attractive to come and listen.
If you don't interrupt violence, it feeds on itself and creates its own violence. So the biggest predictor of violence is previous acts of violence. It doesn't operate like crime. I've been making that point that I go around. Crime and violence do not operate the same way, and therefore the measures to deal with them are different. Crime is largely done for benefit, quite often an economic benefit, and that's why there's a number of things that can divert persons from crime. Violence tends to be because of previous violence, and so you can't use violence to stop violence, unfortunately, or fortunately. Because the thing about it is, it doesn't really matter where the violence came from and how justified it is. It will create additional violence anyway. So even as you may have to use it, you have to use it in such a judicious way that you understand that if you don't, then you're creating your own problem, not solving it. So that is what we've seen. We've seen reprisal upon reprisal. We've seen response upon response. We've seen the state use violence, and the next year the violence increases. When you think that the bad guys are now gone, that's not the case. Next year you'll have twice that one. So how do you, and so this presents a challenge to law enforcement, of course, because how do you therefore respond when people are very violent without violence? Well, there's a difference between violence and force. You can have high levels of force, which generally leads to low levels of violence. Force differentials create less opportunity for violence. I'm not going to go any further into that, but it's something to think about. But the understanding between crime, violence, and force is fundamental to getting solutions to reduce violence, reduce crime, and a safer society. Again, under the public order, public safety, the thing that's bothering a lot of our people at home, as you can see, there's Road Traffic Act restructuring. We're doing some restructuring and changing some formations as we speak. How we deploy, and then of course Jamaica Eye, which is the camera system that's being rolled out in various places in Jamaica, hopefully eventually all over. That will allow us to track, monitor, not dissimilar to what is done here in New York. It also allows for private cameras to be attached to it, so you can actually, if you wish, allow us to see your outward-facing cameras if you're covering a public space. So that is being rolled out as we speak. We have one monitoring center now. We have a second one going up in our 119 center in the next few months.
Can they put it everywhere?
On the corruption, big one that we have to deal with. So the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, MOCA, the act was finally went through its last stage through the lower house on Tuesday last. So now, if the Governor General has signed it, it's now an independent agency, independent of the constabulary force. It deals with, of course, major organized crime and high-level anti-corruption. So it's the second law enforcement agency in the country. The other one is, as I say, how we deal with the Integrity Commission and that bringing together the various offices that deal with that, and then how operationally, or that's operationalized through collaboration between the various agencies. Clearly within the police force, there's another aspect to that. We're doing a number of things to deal with this. One is we're creating a portal for that we can receive complaints and commendations from the public. So if you have something, we'll send it through a portal so we can track all of those complaints. We know where they're coming from, how they're associated with specific individuals, so that we are in a position to use data rather than anecdote on dealing with this kind of corruption. Okay, straight into the current crime reduction strategy we're pursuing. Obviously, the first one is intelligence, critical component of it, and we're using a number of tools, getting new technologies to deal with intelligence, and of course there's a training component and utilization of all sources. There are many sources of intelligence nowadays that never used to exist. But we can't abandon the old ones either, which is really just human intelligence. People say what they know. The second one is investigations. We have, in the constabulary force, emphasized operations for a long time. We need to be emphasizing on investigations and strengthening this capacity, getting better files to the courts. So there's a target area, it's an area of focus for us. We need to ground our investigations in science rather than eyewitness statements, and we're building on forensics to do that. The forensics lab is going to be independent of us. It's moving in that direction. I think it already is. We still have offices there, but the forensic side of the constabulary force will continue to be built to provide, to go for the science to support our cases and our investigations. Operations, the third one. How we do this, all of these issues I was speaking about, some of them earlier. This is how we do our community policing strategies or public order, road safety, all of those strategies. Intervention, critical component, sometimes not as well liked by some of our members. Intervention, it has to become a part of any crime reduction strategy we do, must have an intervention strategy along with it, as part of it, not along with it, but internal to it. And there are a number of community-based programs that we're now involved in, but it has, the interest of it has depended on the divisional commander, the commanding officer, what they're interested in. What we've outlined is the strategy that you're required as a commander to follow. You need to look at all of these areas equally, the fifth one being information, and how we communicate with our communities and our stakeholders. So the 5 elements: intelligence, investigation, operations, intervention, and information. And once we pursue these, and what we found is in divisions where 1 or 2 of them are missing, we get worse outcomes. When they start to build up those 2 areas, when those divisional commanders that are not getting good results
Hello, Nikisha.
are called into
And hello,
the
Veron.
meeting,
Queen
they
Olive
have
in the
to
house.
go through their plans,
At the
how they're going
Jamaican
to deal with
Outlook
crime
for
within their
Future.
division, and we assist them to build out their overall strategy. They go to this, and then you start to see it starting to trend down. For 2 reasons. One, they're accountable. They're called in. If you're having a high levels of crime and violence in your division, you'll be called in. We need to know why, and we need to assist you if you can't. If you need additional resources, we'll see if we can allocate it, and if that is the problem. But these five things must
So I
be,
lost my ticket. Somebody remember me to get my 2 ticket to go to Jamaica.
Right. So we have this, efficiency through technology. There are a number of internal things within the JCF that we have to do to make our officers' lives easier. How do we get the officer at the front line to be able to be more effective and efficient when he attends a scene, when you walk into a station? What is at his fingertips? What information can he access? These are some of the things that have been rolled out now. How do we capture information so that it's not written down in St. James, but next door to London, they have no idea what just happened? So we're making those investment for connectivity, for assisting and carry data and information so that it's easier for the officer. And probably most importantly, we're emphasizing the value, necessity, we want quality and front end at the part of the force that is going to interact with our population. That's where our emphasis has to be. That's the work we have to do.
It's not my show.
Not so much be as concerned budget-wise and otherwise with what our top end is doing, but what's happening there. How do we support these guys we want and girls to go out and do the best job possible so that they have the pride that stops you from being corrupt? Because it's a pride issue. It's a values issue. Once you're paying somebody a living wage, then, and even if you're not, it's a pride issue. It's a values issue. You know, some people are not corruptible. A police officer shouldn't be. Because we've signed up to serve. The truth is, if you abandon them and leave people to their own devices and don't provide them with the leadership they need, if they don't think that you're interested in them and their health and their well-being, in their issues and their problems, then they will divert and all sorts of things. So
Definitely.
we have to make our people closer to us, our leadership closer to our men and women.
Yeah.
We can't abandon our responsibilities to the Federation to do that. We have to do it and let the Federation support the leadership to get the things done.
Yeah. What is it they're talking about? Yeah.
So, specifically, because I'm speaking to the diaspora,
What about paying the policemen them more so they can
when
do their
our
job instead
first
of
meetings
looking
that
for
we
a
had in
side
England,
job
the
to
issue
do, to
came
make
up
out a
about
living?
some of the
They need to
security
get more
concerns
money.
around returning residents. Since then, as soon as I got back in from the UK, the mechanism for this to be put in place was there. You see up there. So there'll be a specific person within a division who will be the liaison person with the returning residents.
Sound good if it's going to work.
Diaspora, there'll be a diaspora specific liaison person at my headquarters. But for returning residents in the country, as a point of contact in each division. It will allow for persons who wish to be able to register where they live, etc., register with us to say, I'm here, I'm returned, I'm living here.
But did they do that already? They're registered at the JNA.
Every now and again, just to check on
Yeah.
checking you. If you're, especially persons who are returned, who are older, and perhaps don't have the level of familial support that they thought they would,
That's
we
your
can,
friend.
we can
in the
fill
second
some
row.
of that.
No, I don't have
gap
nobody here with
through
me. Me
this
alone.
person. Really? What we've seen, especially on some of the violence perpetrated
Tell me what's his
against returnees,
Let me
it
tell you
has
the
been
speaker name.
by people they know or people that they've employed. we're less able to deal with the people they know, but certainly around the people they employ, we can do some a facility of background checks on that. As I say, once you're registered, once we're talking, then if you have those concerns, we have facilities that we can do that. The other one, that safety and security handbook is being developed.
This is who is speaking, Mr. Earl Jarrett. I think that Mr. Earl Jarrett is speaking.
Being able to be accessed online. So that's specific to returning residents.
Trisha, may I observe? Enough love and respect. This is an important matter that we are supposed to listen about our country, because a lot of people are returning to go back home to live. People go out for vacation and all kind of things. So this is a good topic for people. So when you go and this not happening, what they say they're going to do, you could point finger right there.
So, as I said, this was going to be a dialogue, and it's been a monologue so far. So, let me, I think we can just move on to that question and answer and discussion part of this. And thank you for your attention.
So we're going to move very quickly into the question and answer segment, but I'd like to establish a little bit of regimentary road rules since we are in the security field of things. There is a microphone in the center aisle, so we invite persons to go to the microphone to ask your questions. May I encourage us to have very brief questions so that the commissioner can give a concise response to the questions, and that way we're able to go through as many questions as possible, and so that as many persons as possible can ask their questions. Please, I encourage us, do not make any long statements. I'll be standing nearby so that I can say to you, wrap it up, so that we can get as many questions as possible. So, do I have your agreement on that?
Yeah.
Do I have your agreement on that? Okay, thank you so much.
You've come to spend time with us or not?
How many minutes you gonna get? That's it. How many people, how many minutes? If you have a certain amount of time.
Okay, please call us about. Shut your mouth.
Former members of the served in many capacities, and to include the military intelligence, was a foundation member of the military intelligence. I have been wanting to return to Jamaica to help fight this beast. I took home a CCTV camera for one of the properties I have in Jamaica, in Vineyard Town and in Montego Bay. I was trying to do an Airbnb. They broke into it. I couldn't set the visitors down. And in Vineyard Town, the CCTV duty was exorbitant. Can something be done to waive the duty for returning residents or those persons wanting to take CCTV down to connect to the Jamaica Eye program to waive that duty? My second question is, and I speak to all of us here tonight, my questions are really many, and I'm hoping if I could see you sometime in Jamaica over the period 5th to 12th August, because we'll be here all night, and I don't want to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, I have something which I found in my community. I came from Washington, D.C. It says, we support our police. They put their lives on the line every day for us. I'm going to circulate this because we have failed our police force. We as Jamaicans have failed our police force. This commissioner, I know him, and I know him very, very well, is the best person to lead the Jamaican Constabulary Force for the transformation, and I'm calling on all Jamaicans at home and abroad,
In front of you, I just want to catch these people, okay?
so we can succeed. Failure is not an option. We will win this fight. Please circulate.
What's the question?
The question is, Jane, will you accept a proposal for every Jamaican overseas to give $10 per annum to a Jamaica Diaspora Police Fund? I have $50 for my family, which I'm going to give to you tonight. To start this fund, I estimate it will be $30 million US to the police force to deal with the programs. So will you accept my check for $50 US and all of you dig deep into your pockets and sign a check into that fund managed by Jamaica National? Will you accept that, sir?
We will.
Amen. All right. All right.
Where you can make similar donations, and we just simply need to put up the police as a recipient.
Thank you, sir. I end my question by saying, Commissioner, I have a presentation for you and Mr. Jarrett afterwards. Thank you.
Amen.
Hi, good night, everyone. My name is Shannon Shaw, Jamaican Immaculate Grant. I have an idea for that $30 million, by the way. Victim support and trauma support services is an integral part of the Cure Violence model that treats violence like a public health issue. Does the Minister of Security and the Minister of Health have any such violence prevention programs in play? And if not, are there any plans to implement such?
Yes, there is. It's not as robust as it could be, but that victim support and trauma support is really what interrupts the next iteration of violence. As I say, when you have a violent act, you're going to have another one afterwards, unless something comes in the way. So the Violence Prevention Alliance used to do a lot of that work, and they used to do a lot of the monitoring and tracking, still do, in the hospitals, so that as soon as an act occurs and people get to hospital, a violence interrupter interacts there. There's also interventions directly with the families, and quite often we use our chaplains to do that as well. So it is, but it's not as, like many programs, they're not as robust as they could be, but we have probably 3,000 shooting teams, and that really absorbs a lot of that type of thing. That's what shooting, so chops and all of that. So yes, it is, and it's recognized, so thanks for that. Enjoy.
I'm funded by Jamaica National.
Good evening, Major General Anderson. My name is Carl Sawan. I used to work with the Jamaica Defense Force Telecom Department and also Erie. I want to first invite you, maybe one day, I'm working on this surveillance technology, motorized surveillance technology, where I'm planning to do a presentation. I'm planning to do a presentation at the Navy Postgraduate School in Matrix, California. And also I was trying to arrange to do a presentation at the Jamaica Embassy. My question to you, is there any law or clause in the Constitution which prevent the monitoring of any Jamaican, take for instance, because my system will work on just like when you have a telecom or telephone wire on a light post, my system will work having a trap on the light post with a camera capable of moving anywhere at any time, any day. So is there any Constitution laws that prevent this from happening? Or do you know anything?
Right. Okay, so what the Constitution says, particularly in the Charter of Rights, is that privacy is a right. Okay. What that means, and the context of it means, how it's usually interpreted is that for specific surveillance of any sort, you need a body to determine that it is necessary for overall public good.
Well,
essentially.
definitely, because
so there is room for it. Obviously, there's room for cameras, for surveillance, and all of that. When you start to go down to the individual and how you use imagery and what you do with what you've collected, those are subject to constitutional oversight, and in some specific areas there's very specific legislation.
Question time now.
To get permissions to do certain things.
well, guess what?
It doesn't mean you can't do it.
No.
And I'm
But
saying in a public, how you deal with public spaces is different than how you invade somebody's private space.
well, that's very critical because here I'm talking about a system that's capable of passing your house and very much detect what's going on in your house. So, I'm sorry to say this, but it's already been developed. I'm already working on a prototype. So this is the reason.
But usually, what you are describing is somebody probably in a number of countries in the world, they want that from an intelligent perspective. But I tell you one thing, intelligent people don't like is when you come to America and talk about what they can.
Well, I just think there is laws that can use it to determine exactly how much it can be done, and more likely you could use it in terms of the maritime space, because in terms of their informal ports and so forth. But as I said, I would like to invite you one day to one of my presentations. As I said, I have a presentation to do the Navy Postgraduate School in California.
As I said, how we deal with public spaces is different from how we deal with private spaces.
Right.
Okay. So,
Well, it's going to be in public spaces, so it's not going to be.
Good afternoon, sir. I've noticed where you emphasize that police shouldn't be corrupted.
right.
And you take pride in that.
No, I'm saying that.
And I applaud you for that.
No, what I'm saying is that it's pride that really stops. It is a certain value system that stops people from being corrupted, because you can't outpay corruption, because people can earn their years pay in a day through corrupt practices.
And I'm going to get to that. 54 years ago, my mother brought up an account for me at an institution in Jamaica. Over the years, it has grown. The institution says, because of the amount in it, because of the amount in the account, I should have something called residency required. I took my brother and my sister name out of it, replaced it with 2 senior citizens. At the time, one was 83 years of age, the next one was 87.
That was wrong.
The 87-year-old person lived on a fixed income of approximately US $1,000. There's a judge in Jamaica. Her adopted son claimed power of attorney. The judge of attorney gave him 97% of my money.
That's correct.
97% of my money, claiming power of attorney. I'm not a legal scholar, but I know power of attorney is divided after the person is dead. No. The judge not only do that, the judge threatened me. If I write him to reopen the case, he will hold me in contempt of court. No. What kind of corruption is that?
Well, I can't really, I'm hearing your story, I hear what you say. That's certainly not enough information for me to cover. But I'm saying, do you have an attorney?
No, I don't need an attorney. Why would I need an attorney?
That's why he's too ignorant. He's too ignorant.
So you couldn't expect him. He's not a commissioner, he's not a judge.
Why do I need an attorney? The judge didn't inform me when they were taking my money. So why would I pay money to get my own money back?
Hold the loss.
Sir, you're not doing it right. I just to be home.
Sir, may I invite you to speak to one member of the consulate, so we can treat with you and to just get some information. But certainly, this is not a matter that the commissioner could answer in this capacity.
Corruption and crime. Is that a part of corruption?
But this is something that
It's monetary.
At this point.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Why would I need an attorney to get back?
You have to have an attorney. Well, you're going to lose.
No. New York State says all my money will be deposited in American money. I don't need an attorney.
Greetings, good to see you again.
Welcome to the Diaspora's home away from the yard.
Thank you.
My name is Jose Richards. And, someone said something here a moment ago about the police department. I just want to say that I'm not responsible for the police being who they are. It is the responsibility of those politicians in Jamaica. I love and respect police. The decent, honest, respectable, justice-loving police. I love them. Those are who we need in our communities. We have the same problem here in the United States. It is called racial killings. In Jamaica, it is extrajudicial killings. Right? Now, you talk about swift justice. And I hope you pay careful attention to that. Because you've had an incident in Tivoli Gardens. I think this year is the 8th anniversary of the start of the massacre in Tivoli Gardens. The government says over 70-something people, only 70-something people's murdered. The people on the ground said it was more like closer to 300 people. And to this day, the people has not received any semblance of justice for the slaughter of our own people. And my question to you is that wherever we are as an African people, violence and it is not new to us. Deprivation and marginalization and dehumanization is not new to us. And I would think that we as a people will have enough experience now being under the down end of those atrocities. We will have a better understanding of how we deal with our people, how we serve our people. So I'm asking you, as the new police commissioner, the Honorable Clark referred, he alluded to it a moment ago, when he said, he jokingly talked about the revolving door police commissioners. And my sympathy goes out to you. Because we have had many commissioners that come before you. We have brought them and imported them from England to come to Jamaica. And they have found love and happiness in Jamaica. And we still have the crime situation in Jamaica. And you are now here coming before us as a new victim to solve the crime in Jamaica. And I mean, my sympathy goes out to you, but I know they have given you a basket to carry water, and not bottled water, not bottled water, water from the river, right? So, no corruption. We talk about corruption. I'm closing, young lady. In about just 1 minute. When we talk about corruption in Jamaica, we don't talk about corruption in high places. We are talking about the politicians who are sucking the life's blood out of the people that is creating the crime problem. We do want to blame gangs on all these people about crime. But
Okay.
social issue, mostly that is created by politicians.
Okay.
And the private sector also. You can't solve the crime problem in Jamaica until you arrest those politicians and the private sector people who are sucking the blood from our people. That is my statement, my brother. I don't have a question, that's my statement.
Mr. Richards? Right, Mr. Richards?
Yes, sir.
Thanks for your intervention. But you know, we're going to get it done.
I love you and I respect you. But believe me, it is too far gone. Not even Bishop Riley and divine intervention can solve the crime in Jamaica.
You can't give up.
Question. Ladies and gentlemen, let us hear the next question, please. Thank you.
My name is Angela Beeson, and I represent.
Where is the mic? Where is the mic?
Better? Okay. Okay, so my name is Angela Beeson. I have a question. I have a couple of statements. One of the statements is you have a huge job with your maritime space that you have to tackle. In that, you having difficulty managing crime, whether it's you or someone else, is I guess there was no standard work, so it keeps being reinvented.
Sorry, I didn't, you lost me there.
You don't have a standard work. I know the 5 pillars, you don't have a standard work, so each time a new team comes in, there's something else that gets fired over again.
Usually they're actually just iterations of a previous version, but I think...
What the question, Jennifer?
A point that is significant. Our strategies to deal with this matter have to be able to have an agreement around them that they can actually cross administration and will continue on the same path. But yeah.
So the criminals that belong behind bars have the people who are law-abiding citizens with bars and grills.
Yeah.
And so they're locking themselves into their homes. And that's what the future of returning residents. Unfortunately, love Jamaica, but I'm looking forward to the time when there's grill-less, bar-less houses. Even in our
so they don't have to.
I have an issue.
Jennifer, they are doing a lot of things out there for the deportee. Out there, they're doing a lot. They have help that they get out there in Jamaica.
I had a problem today, this morning.
Give me one question I asked you.
Someone broke into my place in Dumfries, St. James. I was calling, when I got the call, I started calling. I called the Adelphi police station. I called the Freeport police station to make a complaint. And the phones weren't working. How can we help that to prevent that? Because it's a safety issue. And it needs to be addressed. Even though I know 119 works, but you call your local police, they come too. They come faster because they know the area. How do you manage that?
Okay, so if they're not working, they're not working today. They're usually working. So we will check on it to see what's happening. As a matter of fact, afterwards, I'd say, afterwards, did you finally get somebody?
I asked the neighbor. I called
and they got somebody?
And they went to the police station to get somebody.
Right, can you just give Senior Superintendent some details? There's a specific case, so let's deal with that.
Okay.
All right?
Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. What is this?
My name is Michael. I understand the crime situation is beyond.
I don't think I want to answer the question. I think I'm going to ask David to answer the question.
It's really out of whack right now. It's
our,
really wrong.
Our violent situation.
Yes.
But it's different.
I want to know, here's the right thing to get to the meat of the potato. The customs, the wharfs, who are buying those areas? I would say that, why not put the soldiers there?
They are human beings too.
They have none of that.
Right. Put the soldiers there. And I feel that since the state emergency was instituted, that should be instituted also. Because that's where the guns are coming in. The customs, the wharfs. That's where the guns are coming from. Am I right?
Well, that is coming through a number of sources, that being one of them.
That's one of them.
But that's certainly not the...
Because I do a lot of reading, and I see on the news every day or every now and then that the customs, wharfs, we have a problem at the wharf.
So we have 100.
So there's somebody inside that wharf is very corrupt. Somebody is inside that wharf.
I'm not shy.
Our custom is corrupt.
Right, I don't necessarily think that was putting soldiers there is the
Shy about what?
solution. I think the solution lies in the way you manage the port and the technologies you put in place to be able to see, know, and intercept in the ports, on the ports. So the soldiers, we've used soldiers before in a temporary way to do the ports. And it's quite effective in the short term. You find that you sit there long enough, the influences that try to corrupt will try to corrupt them also. I remember a particular case where we had soldiers at an airport.
They have camera people and I can't really interrupt, girl. We have to go by rules.
Was willing to pay 10,000 US to go to the bathroom at the time and come back. That's it. Now at the time it's probably his year paid. But he didn't go, he reported it. But after, I'm sure some of the people he told what he did said, you're an idiot. So, yeah, but I mean, that is his value system and probably some of the strength of the institution that stopped him from doing it. But it doesn't mean that everybody would have done it. Now, I mean, ultimately, if you weren't at your post and something went through, what you'd be charged with or what would happen is related to you being absent from your post to go to the bathroom. That would have a particular type of response. And you could justify it any way you choose in your head. Remember, the way corruption works is a very subtle thing. It doesn't start with big things. It starts with small behaviors that you start to accept, and your tolerance for this behavior increases, and then one day you look back and you realize you're way over here. You don't know how you got there, but you're in a hole too deep to come out of.
Well, something got to be done because, that's where most of the
and something is being done.
all those barrels coming in.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, good night, everybody. Please all of you, please turn to your neighbor beside you and said good night and you love them, or good evening. Okay, it's night now. Yes, my name is Olive. My name is Olive Phillips. Yes, we need some smiling here, we need some cheer. We're just sitting here like we're waiting for a funeral. We're not at a funeral, we're here to ask questions.
They're sorry for the 2-week commissioners.
Okay, my question is, I have a sister, she's in the police force out there in Jamaica. And while she was home, she and her children was home, there's someone budging on them and showed up her 2 kids, and she showed them up. And they was admitted to the hospital for 3 weeks. The next 3 weeks, they have to pull the tail out back to work. Nothing they get, all their sick leave, they have to work back out that. They don't get no extra pay. So I want to know what is really going on.
No, so this is, what's that thing? That's the, so what's the system?
I really don't want to publicize it, but
I think I know the case though.
Yes, that's
right.
my sister.
So what you're saying, she was in hospital?
Yes, and after 6 weeks, she back out there and her job.
Back out?
To the job, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I think they should get better protection or get more time out to heal their
hold
wound.
on. Remember, sometimes, so there are 2 ways to this, and my obviously, coming from a slightly military perspective, sometimes it's better to get back on the horse, start riding, instead of having a lot of time to dwell on things. So you have interventions, you have discussion, you need an outlet.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be staying and just thinking and getting that loop in your head. You need to be back on the job, doing things.
But I've been questioning it and asked what is going on, what did they get out of it?
Yeah.
Only thing what we get out of it, my mother was in the house and they took her out of the house, take her away. As soon as they take her back, she died. We have to bury her because she was just thinking of all those wailing and gunshots and things was going on. That's the only thing we get out of it.
Okay. I tell you what, I mean, because Okay, we're not going to go through. We need the details.
Yeah.
We need to know. So
Okay, so we're going to talk to somebody.
See the superintendent.
Okay, and then my second question. My suggestion is like on the 10th area, we would have camera in those areas like in Coronation Market, down by Tivoli and stuff that, you know, they could see monitored by the headquarters instead of we have it at special location.
Well, cameras are being put in all around town.
Okay. All right, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think y'all get a lovely smile from Olive. Bye-bye.
Okay, Olive.
Hi. Yes. That's it. Everybody weren't smiling. Everybody waiting for a funeral procession.
Good evening, everyone. My name is George Ashley. I'm a resident of Washington, D.C. area.
Jennifer used to diminish everybody laugh because everybody's sitting down like they're waiting on a funeral procession. So I let it know that it's not a funeral procession. They are having a question asking. Get somebody. Listen, I'm a public figure, so I'm just going to be talking.
I believe that the police need more support. Their work does not, the pay does not reflect upon the work they have to put in. I think they need more stronger pay. I have a 3-point question. And first is, who do you answer?
Okay. The first, in terms of what, there's different areas that I answer to different people.
In your entire capacity, in your
Well,
job
the Commissioner of Police
capacity.
are coming to the Ministry of National Security and the Minister of National Security is there.
Hi.
There's also the Police Services Commission. That is another body that deals with certain
Alison.
aspects.
Alison Grant.
And then largely,
Where was it tonight? It's happening over by
Court of Public Opinion.
Portmore.
That
Alison Grant
into account as
and her
well.
husband also is the police.
Fair enough. How much influence do these people or entities have in regards to your decision and your office, and more specifically to the decisions you make in regards to crime and violence?
Okay, so on operational issues, it doesn't have any impact on the operational issues, except